You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. As always, please follow, share, like, comment, subscribe, all of those fun things. Leave us a review, iTunes, YouTube, something like that, right? That'd be helpful. We'd love it. And if you want to continue the conversation beyond what we're talking about here, go to Facebook, type in Roofing Success, and join the Roofing Success Facebook group. Today, really excited to have a very experienced and knowledgeable professional in the business with us. We're going to have a conversation that comes up so often with the contractors that I talk to, and I think will be very helpful to everyone listening, especially to the residential contractor who has the inclination that commercial may be the next path in their business, that may, that they're thinking about it or venturing into it, and how to really make that work. So we have Greg Hayne with us today, and I appreciate your time and coming on with us. How are you, man?
Jim, I'm good. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. I know we've been trying to put this together for a long time.
You
are a busy man.
Yeah.
You are a busy man. And that speaks to the value that you provide in the roofing community. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that really appreciate your contribution, and why I really wanted to have you on. For our listeners, for our listeners that maybe haven't, gotten to know who you are, give us a little intro.
Sure. So my company is the Hayne Coaching Group, and my primary focus over the last, 5 to 8 years has been helping commercial roofing contractors grow their businesses. We do that primarily two ways. One, we have peer groups where we facilitate, where we bring non-competing contractors together that are of similar size and similar focus. 3 times a year, they meet together, so they're not competing against one another, but they all understand the problems. And so it's been a great experience. We share best practices. We work on problems that they have in common. Like right now, we have a material shortage, you may have noticed. And they have put together strategies and so I don't think anybody has that problem solved, but they all know, at least the contractors in these groups, that they are doing the things they can do. Yeah. And they're not questioning whether I'm doing all that I can. They've got people they can talk to. So that's been great for things like that. Then I got involved in that because I'm really a subject matter expert in the area of roofing contractor service departments. And probably for the last 12 to 14 years, I've been training commercial roofing contractor service departments on best practices. And the peer groups evolved because I became this clearinghouse for all this information. And I said, I'll just get all these guys in a room. And so we still have that. It's called Creating Great Service, the training program is. So a few years ago, you mentioned as you were introducing me that, there's a residential focus in our conversation today. And all of this is to lead to that, because a couple of years ago, I partnered with GAF. GAF, as a manufacturer, does a phenomenal job of supporting contractors, either commercial or residential, in helping them run their businesses better. They understand it's not just about roofing, it's about everything that goes into making that roof appear in terms of staffing and HR and all of those sorts of things, and they try to help. And so I've been a partner with theirs. And they came to me and they said, hey, we have all of these residential guys that want to get involved in commercial roofing and they really don't know what to do. Can you help? I said, yeah, I can, because I started as a commercial roofing contractor with no knowledge of roofing at all, including no knowledge of residential roofing. I mean, I knew the roof was up there, but I came from a construction background. My dad was a commercial general contractor. And, but I decided, long story we don't need to get into, to open a branch office to do commercial roofing. And so, what I tell people that are interested in my work on the residential guys, helping them step up, it's like, I've made every mistake that you can make. And I've learned it all the hard way. I had nobody to teach me. I had to all learn it for myself. I did understand the business side, and that was the important part. So we call it climbing into commercial for residential roofers. So we have that. So that's kind of what I do.
That's awesome. And that is something that is necessary, right? I believe in, like, a lot of times the first thing that you should do when you're kind of going into a new venture or exploring something new, is learn, right? Like you first just learn, even if it's just the basics of what what you can do. It'll avoid so many of those pitfalls. The benefits of groups and being able to speak openly with other people that are going through what you're going through. As entrepreneurs, I heard an analogy recently. It's like the wolf is always chasing you, right? You're running because there's always another payroll to meet, or another person to hire, or something. Like there's always something. There's always another company, right? The commercial contractors in our listeners' areas are, there's wolves on this, listening to this right now, that are that may make an attempt at getting at their heels, right? And so all of these things, learning, and if anyone has the ability to communicate with other contractors that do what you do, whether it's in Greg's groups or any other group, or just at coffee, in your local area, every quarter or something like that, man, that is amazing stuff to do. So let's get into it a little bit about, I know, there's a process of becoming good at something, and some people don't either they're not good at it or they don't become good at it, right? Like, so why, I guess, a way of looking at, like, how do you become good at this, or, why are some good, why are some not good? How does this happen as we're kind of thinking about this in our business?
So if we're going to talk about roofing in particular, which is fine.
Yeah.
There's an analogy that a distributor made to me one time, many years ago. And he said, there are three kinds of roofing contractors. There are those that are the roofers, there are those that are the businessmen, and then there are those that are also roofers and businessmen. And what I see is that the contractors that struggle the most are those that think it's about roofing. They don't appreciate the business aspect of what they're doing. And this is not just on residential. This is throughout the industry. I mean, I know in these peer groups, I have contractors that are 62 years old and they're getting ready to retire, and they want to get out of their business, and they have done nothing over the last 40 years to prepare them to do that. They don't have anybody they can turn the business over to because they have been the answer man. They've not trained their people. They have used it as a way to produce income, and sometimes very good income, but they have never taken that and made it sustainable so that when they leave the business, they're wealthy. They don't know how to get the money out of the business. And they're just now getting around to thinking about that. When the idea of getting out of that's not being a businessman. That's being stuck in the weeds all the time. So I think the big thing is, are you a roofer or are you a businessman? And the people that tend to do the best are those that have some combination of both.
I love I love a book from Robert Kiyosaki that was written probably 20 years ago now, but it's called the cash flow quadrant, and it's a quadrant, and in the upper left hand quadrant is an E for employee. Below that is S for self-employed. Upper right hand quadrant is B for business owner, and below that lower right hand quadrant is I for investor. And he goes through analogizing how, each of these areas, you're trading time for money, you're trading money for time, right? As an investor, you're trading money, or money for money, or
Mm-hmm.
as an employee, you're trading time for money. What I heard there is made me think of that, because a lot of business owners are really self-employed,
Yes.
right? And if you can make that realization in your business, are you self-employed or are you running a business?
Yes.
A business is something that you can be away for a time period. Someone else, like you had mentioned, someone else is able to answer that question. It's
If
not only you.
if you leave the office and take a 2-week vacation and you spend all of your time worried about whether the wheels are going to come off the machinery while you're gone, because you know that that's likely to, then you're self-employed. To use your analogy, you're self-employed. Yep. You don't have a business.
Yep. And so that's a great thing to really understand. It's an understanding, and what you're talking about, roofer, business person, roofer that is a business person, right? Like you have the roofer is self-employed. They are a self-employed individual. They know how to execute a trade. They know how to, you could be a carpet installer. You could be my wife works in the flooring industry. So, you could have that is self-employed also. You could be a subcontractor. That could be being self-employed. You could also be a subcontractor that runs a business.
Yes.
Right? There's levels to and kind of, one thing that I heard to you, it's not just roofing, right? We're talking about business in general.
This is the blue collar industry, whatever,
yes.
You're talking about.
That's right. Skilled trades. Yeah.
I did a webinar just the other day with someone that's in the gas compression business.
Yeah.
Okay. And he reached out to me and I said, I'm in the roofing. What do you want to talk to me about? He said, well, can you answer questions about these things? And I go, oh yeah, I can talk about all those things.
That's right.
Yeah. Because we weren't going to talk about gas compression and we weren't going to talk about roofing. We were going to talk about business.
Yes. Your business is, your product is roofing, your service is roofing, but it is a business. So that mindset is a great starting point. Having that realization, right? Having that, come to that, right? To that point where, yep, this is where I'm at. I'm self-employed and it's not fun.
But it's okay.
It's okay
to start there, because there's a lot of roofing contractors that started with a pickup truck, a ladder, and a nail apron, and they went on from there. It's, can you make the transition? That's right. If you don't make the transition, and we all reach, as human beings, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. And if you're going to run a business and you're going to grow, you are eventually going to get to the point where your personal limitations limit the business. And the good businessmen recognize that, and they go find people that can fill in the gaps. So that I'm good at this, I'm not good at that, I'll find somebody that's good at that.
Yeah. I was at a conference many years ago, and I'm trying to remember the speaker, but it was the owner of a $100 million company, and his whole talk was about how he's not the smartest person in his company. He hires the smartest people, but he hires the smartest people in very specific roles to make sure that that is the smartest HR person that I can find, right? This is the smartest accounting person that I can find. This is the smartest production manager that I can find, right?
Your quote reminds me of a quote by Steve Jobs, which is that we do not hire smart people, to tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they tell us what to do.
That's so now as we're moving into business right now, the first thing is let's think about this as a business, right? So, but whether you're thinking about it as a business or you're self-employed, if you are a residential contractor moving into commercial, or if you just want to get better at commercial, one of the places that I find is a sticking point is we run a digital marketing agency for roofers. Most of the lead generation, if you want to call it that we do, most of the marketing that we do is to the homeowner. And I get contractors all the time saying, can let's run Google ads to commercial roofing. Let's do Facebook ads to commercial roofing. And a lot of times I say, no.
Let me see if I understand this. Residential guys want to run ads for commercial?
And commercial people too, right? Commercial contractors also approach us and they say, hey, we should be running these digital marketing campaigns for commercial. And a lot of times I think that's and it's not how it works on that side, right?
No,
this is a whole new world over here.
No,
this is people. And what I do, Greg, is I show them, I go to Google and I show them, if you type in roofing company, there's about 60,500 searches per month and nationwide just for those very specific words, roofing company. If I type in commercial roofing company, I think it's like 2,400 searches per month.
Yeah.
Right.
The commercial, in the commercial business, if I own a business, just one building, and I need a roof, I am not going to go to Facebook. I am not going to go to Google. I am going to have a conversation with another businessman that I know, that is a friend, maybe somebody I play golf with, and he's going to say, use these people, or I don't know, talk to these people, and that it happens that way. It is changing. There are certainly are commercial contractors that have a very significant digital presence in the marketplace, and it's having a positive impact on their business. But that's not the way to tackle it from scratch.
So this is the way I look at it. Now that's that other business owner that they contact. They say, hey, go check out Hayne Roofing. They do a great job. And that person goes home and they type Hayne Roofing into Google.
Yeah.
So that overlap is important, of having a well-designed website that converts and things like that, having great reviews and things like that social proof. And it is becoming more and more. It's very likely that they're going to look you up online, right? That people are going to look you up online. But that initial interaction is most likely going to be from another human being.
On the commercial side.
On the commercial side.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I am a roof consultant.
Yeah.
Okay? I no longer have any active clients. I got rid of all of them because I just work with contractors now, but I was an active consultant for 20 years. And I would routinely need to put a roof on a building in a part of the country that I had never worked in before. I did not go to Google. No way, it wouldn't even enter my mind. I call a manufacturer's rep. I call a distribution rep, say, hey, who are the contractors I need to be talking to? This is the kind of contractor I want. This is what I don't want. I would get a list. Okay. I wouldn't dream of that. And most business owners are the same in that regard.
Yeah. I was just talking with a commercial contractor who has been doing a lot of digital and things like that. And they got a call from a GC in another state that had a project in his area. And it came in from Google, but what I was thinking, I'm like, and we were talking about this, I'm like, that GC just didn't know anyone in that area. So they looked them up, they just looked up some companies on Google and they were pretending to know, oh yeah, we got someone in that area. Let me take care of that for you, Mr. Building Owner. I'll take care of that for you,
Yeah, but the GCs don't know who to call. They don't know to call distribution or a manufacturer. They really don't know, and so for them to go to Google's fine. That makes sense.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
there's overlap, right? There's a lot of stuff that can overlap, but the main way of soliciting business, I would say, in commercial roofing, it's relationships, right?
It is interesting that if you'll indulge me slightly to talk
Yeah,
about,
sure.
so the climbing into commercial really doesn't talk much about roofing at all. It's about everything else. And it's what's interesting to me is that when a residential guy talks to me, because this does happen a lot, right, about moving into commercial, the first question they always ask is, how do I get work? That's
Yep.
the first question, right? And it's fascinating to me because frankly, I'm going, what? What do you mean? How do I get work? But so I say, okay, look, have you ever put a roof on a house for somebody that owns an auto dealer?
Mm.
Have you ever put a roof on a house for somebody that is a banker? Have you ever put a roof on a house for someone that is in a business? Call them. Hey, want to check on the roof, but want you to know we're all, it's about building relationships with people. It's about building relationships with people. And now if you want to do new construction and just work for general contractors, that's a different avenue. You just call the GCs and you give them bids, but that's a viable approach, but that's not the approach that most people gravitate toward. It's the easy way. It's probably not necessarily the most clever way. So anyway, we talk, we give them ideas about that, in the materials, but the thing is, they really don't know how to go about doing it.
Yeah.
Which just befuddles me. Although what you've talked about today better explains it a little bit.
It does. And here's another one from that same conversation. There was another thing that they were talking about, a big project that they got, and they're like, yeah, but that came in through Google, right? It was a couple of partners on the call. So that came in through a Google lead or something, right? Like that came in. They're like, yeah. It was, we did their house, we did their personal home, and it was the building owner. And in the conversations, they found out that, oh, we do this too. And he was like, oh, we got a leak over at our industrial park over here, right? Like, can you come take a look? And boom.
And so the thing about residential is, if you're doing homeowners, you're going to put a roof on that homeowner's house. And unless there's a hailstorm, you're not going to talk to them for 20 years. And 20 years from now, they're not going to remember that it was you. Even if they're still in that house, they're not going to remember it's you. So it's all one of.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, all right? Because there's a lot of houses out there. But in the commercial world, most successful commercial contractors build relationships with people that own multiple properties with lots of roofs. And that's not to say that they won't do one-ofs, because they do one-ofs. But a good example of a one-ofs that somebody that I know did is they did Cowboys Stadium. All right, that's a whole different kind of one-off. All right, yeah. But typically they try to build relationships with people so that, this guy's got 3 shopping centers. Well, he's not a big shopping center guy, but that may be 12 roofs.
That's right.
12. Okay. And instead of being a residential roof, it's a commercial roof, which is going to be a lot more expensive. And that's why the residential guys want to get into this. They see that.
They see that for sure. They see that. So there's, like, in soliciting business, would you say the first or one of the first things that you would want to kind of consider is what type of work that you're going after? Are you going after bid work? Are you going after maintenance contracts? Oh
boy, this is a really slippery slope, because so the easiest thing to do is to give a general contractor a price for a new roof on a new building. And if you're the low bidder, he'll give you the job. Okay. You don't have to design the roof. It's designed for you. All you do is order the materials and go put it out there. Okay.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people that gravitate toward that because it's easy entry. But there's some downsides to that. And again, if you'll indulge me a second, in the course, we have a section in the course which we call the sharks, the snakes, the vipers, the quicksand, the trapdoors, the cliffs. Okay. The sharks, the snakes, and the vipers are the people that you're going to get to deal with in the commercial world that you don't have to deal with in the residential world, okay? And the typical example of that is a general contractor. And that general contractor is going to, the stereotypical general contractor is going to act not only like he doesn't care if you make money or not, but he's going to do things that you swear are designed to help you lose money on the job. He's not going to pay you as fast as you would like to be paid. He is going to hold a retainage on you such that you've got a $100,000 job and you finished it today, but you're not going to see the $10,000 retainage till April, okay, when he gets finished with the job. And, all right, so there's all sorts of surprises, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's where we get into the quicksand and the trapdoors, because all of a sudden you've got cash flow challenges. You know, in the residential world, you do not have cash flow problems. You go out and you give somebody a bid, you're probably going to close it in a week or two. You're going to go out and do it in 3 days, and 2 weeks later, you're going to have your money. That's not the commercial world. In the commercial world, you're going to bid something, and if it's a re-roof, you may be able to start in 2 weeks, but you're not going to see your first check for 60 days. And so how are you going to fund that $200,000 pile of material? Okay. And so this is what I call the quicksand.
Yeah.
Because when you get into quicksand, you don't die instantly. All right. But if you don't get out of it, it will kill you. And so you go out and you bid a bunch of work and it all comes in, but you can construct a scenario. Think about this. You can construct a scenario where you will make more money on every single job that you bid. You're making great profits on every job you bid, and you're out of business in 6 months because of cash flow. Okay. Because yeah, you're making the money, except they're not giving it to you. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you get into your line of credit, and now all of a sudden you've got a job to do for a commercial general contractor. You got to order the material. Your line of credit is tapped out, and you need to come up with $250,000 to buy the material. You can't do that. And all of a sudden he puts you in default. And while when that goes on, all of your attention goes on that. It goes off the projects, and all of a sudden those projects, oh, it's just a mess. That's the quicksand. And when these contractors come to me, they ask me about finding work. They never ask me what's going to kill me. What is going to hurt me? They never ask me the questions that are the most important business questions to be asking. About insurance. You know, we have insurance. Yeah, the insurance you're going to need in the commercial world, it's different. It's the same, but it's different. And if you don't get it right, it can be a real problem. So now I got you off track a little bit, but
no, that's all right.
You gotta have what we try to do is we try to help people understand those things. But from their perspective, easy entry is new construction. Whether they like it long-term or not is another story, right? A harder entry into the market is through the vehicle of doing a re-roof for an existing building, because now you have to go cultivate a relationship. And the challenge for the residential roofer is the sales guys that you have hired are almost always the wrong guys to go build those relationships, okay? And if you're a residential roofer listening to this going, why? Okay, fair enough. And I'll tell you, but that means you do not understand, because the typical residential guy is used to a 1 or 2 call close, all right? That takes 2 weeks, and he's going to get paid almost right away. The typical commercial guy may work on an owner for a year before he can even bid it. And then it may take 6 months before the construction starts. Okay. And this takes a different kind of mindset. And it also takes a different compensation structure, because what is he going to eat? Okay. What is he going to pay for the food and the lodging with while he's waiting for that project to start so he can get his commission check? So it's a completely different mindset. And the approach that you take with the homeowner has to be done professionally, and the approach you take with commercial people need to be done professionally, but it's different. It's different.
It's different, definitely. And that's one of the things that I've had a lot of conversations around is it is a different salesperson. My brother-in-law is in big corporate sales. His job is cultivating relationships, golf outings, dinners, right? Like presentations to their people. Like there's and years and years and years of cultivating relationships.
Yes.
Happy hours and flying all over the country and doing all of these things. And it's a different process. I just got off of a webinar before we recorded this, and one of the things we were talking about is speed to lead, right? And how many times you should contact a lead to maximize your return on investment on those leads. And we're talking about 5, 7 plus times of and this is just on someone that reaches out to you, right? They fill out a form on your website. One of the people on the webinar was saying that our salespeople call them once, leave them a voicemail. If they don't call them back, they don't call them back.
Yeah, those aren't salespeople.
Those aren't exactly. We had that conversation.
Yeah.
That's that quick sales process is that quick, real fast process is so much different than building that relationship.
So in the commercial world, I want to make a point. I don't want to scare anybody away.
No.
Okay. But you do need to understand it's more sophisticated, it's more complex. In the residential world, how many types of products do you deal with? Let's see, there's shingles. And if we want to talk about it, there's dimensional shingles and 3-tab shingles, and there's slate and there's wood shakes. They're all shingles, okay?
Yeah.
Well, so depending upon how you want to count them, you can maybe come up with 6, 7, 8, 9 different kinds of products. Could metal, and you can put EPDM in valleys or on low slope areas. In the commercial business, there's hundreds of products. Now, the typical commercial contractor is not going to install all those, but it's there. You have one type of deck. You got wood. Okay, maybe it's OSB, maybe it's plywood, but you got wood, and you're going to put it on with nails. All right. Well, in commercial, you can glue them down, you can screw them down. Sometimes you nail them down, sometimes you ballast them. There's different ways of adhering it. There's different ways of, there's different fastening patterns. We all know how to nail down a 3-tab shingle. That's not the way it works in the commercial world. The 3-tab shingle that's on the edge of the roof is going to get more nails in it than the 3-tab shingle out in the middle of the roof because of wind loads, right? And this is not hard. It is more complicated and it's more sophisticated. But so having said that, I don't want to scare people away. But people say to me, I say to them, who's going to install this roof? Oh, my guys say they can do that. No, they can't. Okay. And they say, well, what do you mean? And I said, look, let's think about this. You're looking at going from residential to commercial as a step up in the world. You know what? Your crews feel exactly the same way. If that guy that you have nailing down shingles for you was any good, he would not be nailing shingles down for you. He would be installing commercial roofs already. That's not to say he can't do a house, a flat roof on the porch on the back of a house. But when you start talking about a situation where you're going to install a roof and the manufacturer is going to come out and make sure you did it right before he issues the warranty, you got to keep that building, because you're not going to do that in an afternoon. You're going to do it over 3 weeks. You got to keep the building dry. You got to keep the people inside happy. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into this that they haven't thought of and that you haven't thought of yet. And again, it's not that this is harder, but it is more complicated and sophisticated. And residential guys just need to understand this. They need to understand that there's a lot that they don't know that can bite them. And if they can find the thing, if they have access to find those sorts of things, okay, yep, then they can do it, especially if they're businessmen.
Yeah. Because the businessman is going to find the smarter person.
Yes. He's going to find the people that can help.
The people that can help. So when in getting into it, bid work is kind of the quick and easy way in.
Yeah. So
re-roof is the long way in.
Is the longer play.
Longer play.
And there's going to be times where you're going to get a hold of somebody and they need a new roof now, and you can start next week and it all works out.
It
But
happens.
that is not the way it normally works.
Yep.
Okay. And especially with the people that you want to do business with that own lots of properties and have lots of roofs, they're going to decide in May that we're going to re-roof that building next year.
Yeah.
So so that's a longer play. The third avenue is service.
Yep, that's what I was just going to say. Is that more of a midterm, like a mid-range kind of a play?
So there's a lot of residential guys that come to me and say, look, I don't want to install roofs. I just want to do commercial service. That doesn't work. And here's why. First of all, if you get good at residential, at commercial service,
yep,
they're going to say, you got to put the roof on for me.
Yes.
So there's that. But on a practical basis, that shopping center we're talking about that has 4 different roofs on it, one is a Carlisle, one is a Firestone, one is a GAF, and one is a Johns Manville, and they want someone that can service all 4 of them under warranty. Okay, there's nobody that just does repairs. Okay, that can service all 4 of those. Okay, maybe one of them, typically none of them. So you're going to have to become an approved installer, and you know what? They're going to want you to install roofs. So go install the roofs. And here's the other thing. We have salespeople. It takes almost as much work to sell a $1,500 repair to a new, never before worked for them customer as it does a $150,000 re-roof. I'm pretty sure the commission structure on the $150,000 re-roof is going to be a whole lot more than the commission structure on the $1,500 repair. Guess which they're going to want to put their attention on. Okay, yeah. Understandably. So when you're starting out, install roofs.
And then from there, do you think that understanding getting really good at a specific products, specific systems is, being focused there first, like you said, hey, there's 4 different roofing systems on this particular building. Yes. You'd have to, would you recommend someone to say, hey, let's focus here, get good at it, and then you can add to your, would that be the right way to go?
Well, let's pretend you're going to go new construction and you're going to do work for a general contractor. You're going to have to put on what they tell you to put on. Mm-hmm. So if they're looking for an XYZ corporation installed a certain way, that's what you're going to have to be able to install.
Yeah.
If you're doing re-roofs, okay, then you're going to be probably, well, first of all, in the re-roof world, there's systems that you design and there's systems that are designed for you, because if you're dealing with that company that owns a whole bunch of property, they may have a roof consultant involved that's going to do the design work. So it's still, but fundamentally, there are contractors that do nothing but single ply work.
Yeah.
There are contractors that do everything. I know of a contractor very successful that does only single ply and metal. They will install metal roofs, okay? But they don't do buildup, okay? So the thing is, in the state in which he is located, they don't install buildup roofs. If you're in Florida, they still install hot roofs. They install modifieds, they install buildup roofs. They install a lot of single plies, but they still, because they have these things called hurricanes, and there's a lot of flying debris, and they discovered that the buildup roofs resist the flying debris better than the single ply roofs. So there's still a lot of hot work that can get done in some of the southern states where there's storms. If you're putting a roof on the Cowboys Stadium, don't know what went on there, but the typical large facility like that, it's probably going to have a buildup roof on it, not a TPO, not an EPDM. It's going to have, so to a large extent, the market that you go after is going to kind of shape what type of systems that you install. And if you decide, I only want to install TPO, that's all I want to do, fine. Then you're going to have to go look for the people that are only going to install that. And I want to point out, this is not hard.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just a little different.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then that targeting gets more clear on who your
Oh
perfect
yeah.
customer is,
Oh yeah.
right? When, so it all kind of comes together as you're learning the differences between the different systems that you can install, the different decking, the different tear off methods, the getting it access to crews that are professional at that specific roofing system. As you're building all of these pieces to the puzzle and everything starts to come in line, you can really focus in. And that's what I see too, just not in commercial or residential, but sometimes business in general, or contracting in general. Some people can make it going really wide like that, and some people really do such a better job being focused. But it's knowing knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, something like that.
Yes, and the small contractors,
Yeah,
typically are going to be more narrowly focused.
narrowly focused. That's right. Yeah.
The smart thing, if you want to get involved in commercial, is to align yourself with someone that produces TPO and go install TPO roofs.
Yeah.
And let it evolve from there.
Yeah. So, we kind of talked about a lot of the things here, kind of different ways of soliciting business, the differences in soliciting that business, the differences in the types of roofing systems that you're putting on, and the complexities of that, and the cash flow pitfalls that come up, and things like that. Really early on, you would talk about a contractor that was, in their 60s looking to exit the business.
Yeah.
And they had just not put their business structure in place to properly exit that business. And exiting a business, sometimes as a business owner, it's not something that we think about, especially from the beginning. But having these processes in place and things like that. One of the I did a podcast episode with a commercial contractor out of the Atlanta area, and he purchased 2 roofing companies. That's how he entered the roofing business. He purchased 2 commercial roofing companies, and one of the second one, he learned he purchased a better roofing company, I guess, is the first. The first one, he had his lessons that he learned in purchasing that. The second one was he purchased, and one of the things that was attractive to him was that they had a solid foundation of service contracts.
Yeah.
More predictable income, I would say. It was kind of the way that he described it. What are your thoughts on that for a business owner? If you're in residential and it's one roof on, one roof off, it's just, that person's not going to call you for 20 years unless another storm comes through, and maybe they'll call you then, or maybe they'll go with the guy that knocks on the door. There's so many things, but there is this, I don't want to say hidden cash flow strategy on the commercial side through these service contracts that I think gets overlooked a lot of times in that cash flow management, for one thing, because it's bringing in cash flow to the business, but then as a very attractive feature when you do plan on retiring and exiting that business.
So almost every roofing contractor I know wants to sell maintenance agreements.
Yeah.
98% of them fail completely at it. Only about 2% do it successfully. So if you have 100 people listening to this podcast, the greatest service that I can do is to say, don't try it, because you're not going to be any good at it. Now, and believe me, you will not be any good at it. Are there exceptions? Yes, there are. If you look at why these people are exceptions, it is because there are very specific things that they get as businessmen that they do within their company that allow them to do these things. And those things are very easy to talk about. And everybody says, oh, I do that. No, you don't. Okay. You think you do, but you really don't. So I actually have a course where I train roofing contractor service departments, and they bring me all these plans that they want to sell. And I say to them, how are you doing with that? Well, we're not selling very many of them. So here's my comment. If Ford builds a new car that's called the Pinto, which some of you may remember, okay, and they try to sell it and they market it and they try to sell it and they don't sell them and they don't sell them and they don't sell them, you know what they do? They try something different. They stop selling them, okay? And that didn't work. Let's go do something else. So there are people that, and probably, and here's the other thing. You go out tomorrow and you try to sell a service agreement and you're successful and you go, oh, good, it works. No, it didn't. Okay, it may be that you found there are people out there, their heart goes a flutter at the idea of buying preventive maintenance, okay? There's not very many of those, okay? There's also not very many of them out there that won't do preventive maintenance if it's necessary, no matter how much money they can save. The vast majority of building owners will be glad to pay for preventive maintenance, but they don't want to buy a contract for it. So don't try to sell them one. You walk into Best Buy to buy a flat screen, okay? Before you walk out of, they're going to try to sell you an extended warranty. And the last time I bought my flat screen, I said to the guy, I said, how many of these do you sell? He said, oh, we don't sell very many of them. It's free money. You know, if we can sell them, we make good money on it because hardly anything comes back. But he said, we don't sell very many of them. So it's not just about roofing. Nobody wants to buy these. So why try to sell them? Instead, why don't you invest the time and effort to learn how to sell preventive maintenance on an as-needed basis, on a case-specific basis? And if you can learn to do that, you will be able to sell the contract work. But if you can't do that, you will not be able to sell the contract work. And so trying to hit the home run when you don't know which end to hold the bat doesn't make sense. Okay. Walk before you can run.
I love that analogy because I never buy those. I never buy them.
Oh, and I know people that do, and good for you. And it's fine if you do that. But, you know, I run a lot of cars, and Hertz says, you know what, we'll give you a discount of like 10% if you prepay, but you're prepaid and you can't change it.
That's right.
And I've looked, and I would be way ahead of the game if I prepaid all of them for the number of times I can. I don't do that. Okay. I pay the full amount so I have the flexibility. I have the control. I'm not giving away money that I can't get back, you know, and most people would rather buy preventive maintenance. And by the way, most commercial roofing contractors can't even sell preventive maintenance on a one-by-one basis effectively. Yeah. So
it's hard. And you have to think about, especially in the commercial roofing side, building owners are focused on cap rates, capital expenditures. They're focused on different numbers, internal rates of return. They're focused on numbers, and the numbers that you're adding to their, you know, the value of a building in commercial real estate is based on the financial performance of that building. The more financial outlays that they have on a monthly, yearly basis reduces the value of that piece of property in relation to the lease rates that they're pulling in.
Exactly right.
So having an understanding of that too, this is a different mindset. It isn't just, hey, we have a leak. You know, there's
no, not at all. I mean, a professional. I have the best, one of the three best property managers I ever worked with as a roofing consultant said, you know what, I really don't care if they fix the leak the first try. I know I want them to, but I want them to be able to communicate to me promptly. I want them to explain to me what they did, why they did it, how they did it, what I might expect. It's all about communication.
Oh yeah.
And here's the thing that most roofing contractors don't understand about service. Service has nothing to do with roofing. When your flat screen breaks, you take it to the Best Buy service department. If your washing machine breaks, you call the appliance store service department. Service has nothing to do with washing machines. It has nothing to do with flat screens, has nothing to do with roofing. Repairs and maintenance are what you do to a roof. Service is what you give to a customer. It's all about relationships, okay?
Yeah.
And what most roofing contractors do is they have estimators. And the estimators put a price together and they load it up into an email and they send it to somebody. And then they're surprised when they don't buy. Okay. It's about relationships.
Yeah. And those, you think of it, I mean, in life, a lot of what we have is about relationships, right? Build those relationships. If you do want to get into the commercial side, really understand what you're getting yourself into. Study, learn how to solicit the business, how to the differences in the roofing systems, the cash flow struggles that you may encounter or probably will encounter. You will.
Oh yeah, it's so I have in these peer groups, I have contractors that do residential work. They also do commercial, okay, but they do residential. And I went to them as I was developing this course, and I said, "What do they need to know?" The first thing they say is cash flow.
Cash flow.
Second thing, insurance. For instance, how many residential roofers have E&O insurance? How many of them know what E&O is? All right.
Yeah, exactly.
You better have E&O, baby. All right, because if you're going to tell somebody what kind of a roof you're going to put up there, you need errors and emissions insurance. All right, and it's not hard.
No.
But it is more complicated. There's more moving parts. Residential guys have some tremendous advantages, because if you're a successful residential contractor, first of all, you understand the value of sales. And most commercial contractors do not. You just need to understand that you're going to have different salespeople on the commercial side, probably. It's still roofing. We still have to keep the water out of the building. It's a lot more complicated because if it rains, the water doesn't shed, it ponds and drains. All right. But there's insurance issues, there's bonding issues, which are of course insurance issues.
Yep.
There's also, and those are the trapdoors in the cliffs, because if you don't have the right kind of insurance coverage and you have a claim, oh man, you're in deep and it's not like it's a $35,000 house. It can be a $350,000 building. As a commercial roofing contractor, I put a roof on a warehouse that stored washing machines that were being shipped out, and they were stacked on top of each other, okay, like 6 high. Okay, we had a rainstorm. Our night seal broke. Water got in the building. The water came over and got the bottom of the carton wet. The bottom carton went, ugh. And all of a sudden, all the washing machines fall over. Now it was only a $10,000 claim. Okay, it could have been a $2 million claim if they'd gone over just the right way and knocked all the washing machines down in the place. It could have been a multi-million-dollar claim, and I'm out of business. Right? And you know what? I did everything I could to prevent that.
Yep.
But I wasn't expecting 3 inches of rain in an hour. And you don't have, and you can mitigate these things if you know what to look for, if you have the right people in place.
And that's what insurance is for.
And that's what insurance is for.
The things that you can't,
that you don't know about. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. This has been awesome, Greg. So much great information. I think this will be very helpful. If anyone wants to communicate with you further, how do they find you?
So they can see my name back there, Hayne, Hayne. They can go to HayneCoachingGroup.com. And if they do that, up at the top, they'll see a series of links, and one of them says climbing into commercial. And if they click that, they will be able to schedule a absolutely no obligation free strategy session with me, and I will be glad to talk with them about where they are, where they want to go. And if I think I can help them, great. And if I can't help them, I don't care. I do that all the time. If they click on the other links, they'll see free strategies. That's how I operate. I try to help. And as I've tried to do today, I've tried to give them a couple of clues. That crew that you think's going to put the roof on, no, they're not. That sales team, no, they're not the right ones. Okay. And there's more examples of that they just need to know about and plan for.
That's right.
So I'll be glad to do that.
Awesome. Thanks for your time today. This has been
Yeah, my
another
pleasure.
episode of the Roofing Success Podcast.
If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.